Okay.
Okay. Good. I'd like to call to order the March 9th, 2021 meeting of the Edina Parks and Recreation Commission. And Janet, if you could do the roll call, please.
Yep. Commissioner Navlosky,
Here.
Commissioner Sorum,
Here.
Commissioner Doskach,
Here.
Commissioner Good,
Here.
Commissioner Haas,
Here.
Commissioner Miller,
Here.
Commissioner Nelson,
Here.
Commissioner Strother, here. Commissioner, oh, there's Julie. Commissioner Strother,
Here.
okay. Commissioner Willett, yeah. Commissioner Mork, Commissioner McCauley, Commissioner McCauley,
Yes, here.
Commissioner Itis.
Here. Thank you, Janet.
Yep.
I will ask for the motion and a second for item number 3, the approval of the minutes from the last month, please.
So moved. Oh, second.
Janet, could you please do the roll call again?
Commissioner Doskach.
Aye.
Commissioner Good,
Aye.
Commissioner Haas,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Commissioner Nelson,
Aye.
Commissioner Strother,
Aye.
Commissioner Willett, and Commissioner McCauley,
Aye.
Commissioner Itis.
Aye. Item number 4, I'll ask for the motion and the second on the approval of the minutes. Did I see those backwards, Janet?
Chair, just, clarify, we just skipped ahead, so we
Yep,
would entertain
sorry.
for the approval of the
Sorry.
meeting agenda.
Right, sorry.
So moved. Second.
Janet, could you do the roll call, please, again?
Commissioner Doskach,
Aye.
Commissioner Good,
Aye.
Commissioner Haas,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Commissioner Nelson,
Aye.
Commissioner Strother,
Aye.
Commissioner Willett, Commissioner McCauley,
Aye.
Commissioner Itis.
Aye, thank you. I believe item 5. And we're going to have the director introduce the newest commissioner.
Thank you, Chair Itis. Good evening, members of the commission. Wanted to introduce you to our newest Parks and Recreation Commissioner. We'll have Brian Haas give an introduction for him this evening in just a second. But just want to let you know that through a very vast and impressive candidate pool for the city of Edina, for all of the boards and commissions took place over the winter. And the city council finalized a slate of 19 new boards and commission members at their, I believe it was their March 1st meeting that took place. So as you all know, Commissioner Darlene had left the commission at the end of his term. So Brian has joined us now. This obviously is his first meeting. As staff, we've brought him through a vast commission orientation of 19 other members, as well as Chair Itis and I had an opportunity to sit down with him for a little bit of a more detailed orientation for the Parks and Recreation Commission last Friday. So we gave him a vast amount of information to digest. I think you probably all recall drinking a little bit out of a fire hose for those first couple of days, but we wanted to welcome him to the commission and give him an opportunity to introduce himself to the rest of you on the commission. If you wanted to then therefore maybe introduce yourselves to him. Obviously, if this was in person, it would be a whole lot easier, but we will make do with a welcome to Commissioner Haas in a virtual environment.
Oh, thanks. It was really nice to meet all of you virtually. I'm looking forward to having a meeting in person and getting to know a little bit more about the board and all of you. I'm relatively new to the community. I moved here 3 years ago, lived here with my wife and 2 stepdaughters, and really, I love the community. I love the support that the community has for its parks and its schools, and every week I seem to just be learning more and more. I come from a small town in northern Michigan, and when I moved there about 10 years ago, the first thing I did was found a spot on the Parks and Rec board, and it was a great way to learn more about the community and get involved. It took me down some other paths to city commission and some planning commission work. But I realized as Perry was walking me through all the programs in this Parks and Rec program, it is more than 3 times the size of the city budget I was working with before. So I realized that I'm in a whole different league at this point, and I'm looking forward to learning a lot more. I think right now it is going to be like drinking from a fire hose to get up to speed, but I'm really looking forward to working with all of you and learning a lot more about the Parks and Rec program. Welcome, Brian.
Welcome. Glad to have you.
Yes, glad to have somebody with your experience, Brian. You might think this is overwhelming here, but some of us didn't have any experience with parks and recreation before. So thank you for stepping up.
Oh, thank you.
Well, thank you, Chair. Staff, we can move on to the reports and recommendations portion of your agenda this evening. But before we begin, I'll just give my standard introduction. We are meeting virtually, obviously. I do want to mention that we're doing that under the guidance of the governor's executive order that does allow virtual meetings. If you do have any technical issues, feel free to use the chat. We'll watch that. Obviously on your agenda, you used it a couple times already, but we did list member names as part of your roll call just to help facilitate the voting and discussion order. And then obviously, as we've been going through, for feedback and things, just make sure your microphone is on mute when you're not talking. And if possible, please leave your camera on unless you're having bandwidth issues, et cetera, as we go through this evening. So just kind of my standard spiel. But I did want to introduce tonight our Recreation Supervisor, Tiffany Bushland. Tiffany is here this evening to give you a update on some recreation programmings and how that intersects with our athletic associations and all the things that she's been working on in a normal environment and a pandemic environment. So I will turn that over to Tiffany to give you an update this evening.
Thank you, Perry. Good evening, members of the commission. As Perry mentioned, Tiffany Bushland, I'm a recreation supervisor. My main role within the department is anything athletics. So our youth and adult sport programming, working with our athletic associations, making sure that they have things that they need, field space and things along those lines. One of the biggest parts of my role this winter was the outdoor rinks. I'm here to give you a little bit of overview on that. I don't have as many fun numbers as previous years, but I will try to make it as entertaining as possible. The outdoor rink season this year started on December 28th. We added 2 extra rinks. Just seeing the demand on the park system throughout the summer, we thought it would continue through the winter. So we did 2 different pleasure rink locations this year, in addition to the normal 12 rinks that we do have throughout the system. We started December 28th, which is a 2-week delay as a result of warm weather. We were open for a total of 62 days, closed 3 days as a result of cold weather. And a comparison for you, last year in the 1920 season, we were open for 71 days. So a little bit more of a season last year than this year. One of the big decisions that we made this year was not having our shelter buildings open. There was COVID restrictions for capacity limits and things along those lines. So the season was completed without having the shelter buildings open. And we did hear some pushback in regards to that. However, I would say we had overwhelming support in the positive mindset of having the rinks for a place for people to be and enjoy the park and rec system in the wintertime. The Edina Hockey Association utilized the hockey rinks for practices. They had a total of 742 practices on our outdoor rinks. And just a little insight for you, that is awesome. That is a ton of hockey practices on city-owned outdoor rinks. So they are heavily utilized by an athletic association, which is cool. Once the Hockey Association schedule was not interrupted for COVID, they had about 100 practices a week on the outdoor ice rinks this season. We were able to run an outdoor hockey league, which is a park and rec program that we run. We had great team numbers for that. This year, something new, I had built into our schedule reserve time for community use. Historically, because the Hockey Association utilizes so much of the outdoor ice time, we've received complaints about not allowing time just for community use. So I built into the schedule specific days, times, locations, and time slots that were reserved just for community use. A team couldn't practice there. It was for people to come and use the ice with their family and friends. Again, a ton of positive compliments and a huge thank you to our park maintenance crew, who does a fantastic job in maintaining, building, maintaining, and keeping the ice amazing. It's a pretty tough ice to beat around the Twin Cities, so they do a fantastic job. Some of the programming that I have been overseeing lately is the Adult Hockey League. We also offered Adult Volleyball League this winter. We had about a 20% reduction in teams compared to last season's. We offered both a women's and a mixed league. And unfortunately, this year we were not able to run a basketball league. Historically, we get about 12 to 14 teams, and this year we only had 3. So we were not able to run that. People were just being cautious with all of with COVID happening. We offered a variety of youth sport offerings in the fall and winter, dance, soccer, tennis, outdoor rink, family events, things along those lines. I will say, just from a numbers perspective wise, fall was a lot more busy than the winter season as far as number of participants signing up. It seemed that people were more comfortable doing activities that were outside and maybe were a little hesitant yet to sign up for things that were inside during the winter. Another item, we'd received a Hennepin County Save the Summer grant, and we were able to purchase $5,000 worth of snowshoes, and we held some snowshoe events at the Braemar Golf Course that maxed out throughout the winter. So we held those on full moons, and it was a lit luminary trail throughout the golf course, and people were able to snowshoe. It was a fun event, and people were really thankful to do something different and safely. The athletic associations, COVID has been a stressful year on everybody, and I would say that would be the same for the athletic associations. Just the same as everybody is dealing with different guidelines on short-term notice, having to meet as boards and change guidelines and change protocols and policies for each athletic association. That is time-consuming, taxing on athletic associations. In addition to some financial stress, some associations decided, our recreation program is more of a recreation program, and we're going to sit this season out. So they didn't offer programming. Others had a great reduction in participants. Some had minimal reduction in participants. So it was really all across the board. I will say it was a stressful year financially. The way each athletic association handled it was different. I know, paid coaches during quarantine. They lost opportunities for concessions and fundraising, having less participants, all those take a financial stress on the association, and something that the city recognizes, and we've worked with them on their different fees that they do pay the city on that as well. But overall, I will say the athletic associations have been doing a great job. Some of them have even created new programming as a result of this. For example, the Edina Football Association has started a winter flag season in the Dome. So they've done a great job of being committed to the safety of the athletes. And I will say that the spring and summer numbers for the athletic associations are looking up. As far as spring and summer goes, within our department, I will say we've had an overwhelming response to our participation numbers for our registration sign up. We have a variety of wait lists for a whole range of programming, something that I haven't seen since I've been here, which is fantastic. People are signing up for our stuff, which is extremely exciting. People are itching to get back. So as a department, we are working through those wait lists, trying to accommodate more sessions, more people into our classes, in addition to keeping in mind the restrictions that we do have and the safety precautions that we want. We want to make sure everybody that is taking our program feels safe and is safe. So we have to keep that in mind too. And then my last plug I will say is seasonal hiring. We are struggling to find staff to apply for our jobs. So you are all in the community. Please reach out to people that you think would be interested. We are hurting for applicants at this time in a variety of our positions. Some of them are fine. We don't have to worry, but I would say overall, we need more applicants in order to provide these awesome programs that we want to provide, and facilities that people have a fun time at for this summer. So please, my ask for you is please reach out to people that that may be interested. They have to be at least 16 years old to work for the city. If they're under that, we could take them as a volunteer if they're interested too. So at that time, if anybody has any questions for me, I'd be happy to answer them.
A couple of comments first. Great job on the snowshoe events. I saw a lot of things out on social media about that. People loved it. And I want to double down on thanking the maintenance crew for the great job on the ice rinks. The wait list that you mentioned, but the staffing issues aside, is there anything that we can do? I think what happened during the pandemic, and I've seen it in my own neighborhood, is I've seen so many people out, even all winter, walking. And they're getting the idea that we've got to spend more time outside. And I think that could be what's driving it. Do we have any ability to expand any of the programs to accommodate the wait list? I mean, how are we going to address that in light of the staffing issues, which, I'll get the word out as best I can also.
Yeah, so the staffing issues are part of it, but also the current capacity on limits. So the amount of people we can have in a group is also a part of it. So, at one park, how many can we physically have within the park in order to keep it safe for everybody involved? So those are the two concerns that we're working through. And we are working through those. We see large wait lists, and we're doing our best effort to try to combat that. But I would say the safety COVID precaution is also a piece of it.
Okay, so one follow-up is we've seen it seems like on a daily basis, they're expanding the vaccine list, and, with more vaccines coming to the state and more people are getting vaccinated. Do we see the capacity? Are we geared up in anticipation of the state relaxes the capacity rules that we can quickly accommodate that? Or is that something that's just, at some point it's going to be too late?
I think if that happens, at this point, I would say for certain things, yes, we would be able to accommodate that. Hiring additional staff is a piece of that. If we already have that staff on, it's just reallocating their hours to different locations. So for certain programs are a lot easier to do that than others. To hiring a karate instructor in 2 days is a difficult task. But if we can have 30 people with one instructor, we can do that quickly. So I think, yes, some programs are easier to do than others on a fast manner, but we are an outlet for people in the summer, and it is our goal to serve as many people as we possibly can. When these numbers came in and these wait lists came in, I was flabbergasted with the amount of people that want to take our programs, and we want them to take those programs. So if we're able to, we will do that.
And Perry, maybe a good idea, maybe our reps don't know about this, our House reps and our senator don't know about these issues. It might be good to make them aware of it. And of course, you know, we're going to go by the science and what the Minnesota Health Department puts down, but just to make them aware of what's going on, they might not know.
Yeah, thank you. I'll just kind of echo what Tiffany said, Commissioner McCauley, is once the guidance changes, then we can adapt to what it is. And I think that's been our challenge all along is when the dial turns, as the governor indicates, I think we've proven throughout the year is that once the dial turns, we've been able to rapidly accommodate that. You know, I look back, I was looking back at notes that we've had, you know, tomorrow starts a year of us planning for the pandemic, and just how, you know, I know examples of, you know, on Thursday afternoon, April 16th, we found out we could open up the golf course, and we opened Saturday morning on the 18th. So it's those types of things, is if we kind of have that notice and we know where the dial is going to be turned to, you bet we're going to do our best to accommodate those capacities.
Tiffany?
Yep.
Tiffany? I have one question on the wait list. The mixture resident, non-resident? Is there such? Do you keep track of on your wait list?
We are able to see who is a resident and non-resident. I don't have numbers to determine
No.
who.
Okay, so let's say a non-resident, you know, registers now and gets on the list. So those are handled then in chronological order
Correct.
of registering. Okay.
So if a resident would get on the list after a non-resident, we would take the first person on the list.
Okay. One other question, this is an education for me. I'm not a skater, but my 3 grandchildren come from Minnetonka to use our sheets, so to speak. What makes our ice better?
I think my first answer is going to be time and commitment to the ice.
Yeah.
We, and Tom can maybe allude a little bit more, but we have one full-time staff dedicated to each sheet of ice to build it. And the building is, I would say, a 7 to 10 day process where they are building their sheet of ice. And after that, they maintain it at a certain level. I mean, this crew is working 7 days a week. In the early morning hours when it's the best time to freeze water. So I would say our ice is really good because we have really good staff and a great commitment to creating good outdoor ice.
Yeah. Well, I was being an avid golfer, of course. As I walked around our Lewis Park yesterday, I was sad to see the sheet probably gone. So, but I do see the people doing their work early in the morning. So anyway, I don't have any more questions. Certainly anybody else can ask, but thanks for your presentation. This is always just great. I know all the hard work that you do, and it's just great to see our parks. I mean, that's a big thing of what Edina is. And I know your effort and the people that help you just make this just a better place.
Great. Thank you, Chair.
Chair, I just want to mention a few things that Tiffany did not mention is, you know, she's also part of another staff that worked really hard on things like the Hunt for the Yeti, the Rectivity boxes, the Best in Snow contest. So in addition to her normal duties, obviously impacted by the pandemic, there was this sense of teamwork amongst the other recreation supervisors on executing just other options for our residents to participate in. So you're seeing one of those efforts tonight of what Tiffany brought to that aspect. So, and I think I'm out of the window where I need to defend Minnetonka anymore. I don't think I'm allowed to do that anymore. Not sure if that was specific to me, but
No,
but
it's-
I'll take it.
Yeah, you're coming up on 2 years, so you've used up your time period. So,
And I will just say on that point about the creativity that the staff took in thinking of ways to engage residents, to be active and be outdoors when we couldn't have some of the same programming that we would always do. I would like, as a parent of young kids, it was really appreciated and it was fun watching. I know other people talked about their older kids participating in some of the other events, and the ingenuity and the creativity and the energy that went into making that happen was really appreciated. So, nice work.
Thank you.
So I just
Hey,
had one.
Tiffany. I'm sorry, just a question. You had mentioned that you're struggling in a few areas to get summer help. Can you highlight maybe the top 2, 3, or 4, just so we can use that? when we're-
Lifeguards. We have to hire a lot of lifeguards. Concession facility help. So a variety of, cleaning roles. If we are able to have concession kind of member check-in desk area, tennis instructors. Those are kind of the initial ones that ring a bell to me.
Okay. And karate.
I'm not going to say I've got another instructor, but I'm pretty close to getting another instructor.
All right. Well, just let me know if you need any help. So, all right. Thank you.
We'll have tryouts for you, Commissioner Miller.
Sure. Well, yeah. Okay. I already pulled something. Sorry.
I was just going to say real quick that the other thing that the positive, I don't know how many people remember like 2 or 3 years ago when we used to have a lot of sign up issues with the website. So I feel like that's really, it's gone well the last 2 years. And then I think we changed it for the start time to 12:30 instead of 8:30. And I feel like that's also been a really big win. So I think we should just keep that up. And just if you haven't been here for that big headache that it was, it's just been really great. So you were not here then, Perry. It was not as fun. So thanks for keeping that up.
Thank you.
And
You are
Tiffany, this
correct,
is-
Commissioner Nelson. We did move registration from a Monday at 8 a.m. to a Wednesday at noon. Try to do a lot of publicity in advance. A lot of the issues are always password, account related, ensuring your family members are up to date. So our goal was to not have people stuck in traffic at the time, trying to call in and log in and problem solve. So it hopefully gives them the morning to get their day started, and then they can try that.
Hey, Tiffany, I had one question about the ice sheets. Love the idea about the reserve time for community use. Interesting to know, how did we promote that, advertise that, and do we have a sense for how well it was utilized for those particular times that we reserved the ice for community use?
Yeah, we had, we had schedules posted at each location. And it is, there's not a perfect way to post that schedule. It is an ever-changing schedule. So we had them posted. And as they were updated, we would post new schedules. This community has a lot of people who are, this is their winter activity. This is what we do. We meet as a group and play hockey or skate at this rink. And so that group knows the ins and outs of the schedule. They're calling Janet all of the time, asking her for any changes. So we did have them at each different location, and they stayed consistent for the whole year. So it was constantly, the 5 o'clock slot at Lewis would be open to the community no matter what for the year on Tuesday nights. So trying to keep some consistency in that way too.
Good, thanks.
any other comments for Tiffany or questions? Thank you again. Always nice to hear how things are going and the challenges ahead. I think that's also good to hear.
Thank you.
If there's no more comments or questions for Tiffany, we're going to move on to category, item 6B, the work plan discussion.
Yeah.
It's an overlay. I think these are some things, and then I'll let the director talk. I think we'd like to have Commissioner Haas, excuse me, indicate, the initiatives that he would like to be a part of. We'd like to confirm then those people that are on an initiative that that's still their desire. We'd like to determine who the lead is, certainly, to get that finalized for all the initiatives. And then we should talk about if there's updates available or some time frame. There's some commitment we have with regards to the end of this month and an update to the council. And so it's imperative and very important that all 5 of these get some mention at that time. So why don't you go ahead, Director, and then if we could get Brian to indicate his wishes.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, you covered a lot of what I was going to mention. Is just if we could get any updates that anyone has. It's something new this year. The City Council, we're going to provide quarterly progress updates. So it doesn't mean your initiative has to be done in the first quarter. It's just what's happened through the first quarter that we can provide them a snapshot and an update. So like you had mentioned, any updates, any new assignments, determining who the leads are. And I did want to mention as well that one of the initiative work groups recently did get together, and we did do a hybrid. And we can do that for any of the work groups if you're interested. So not only could we facilitate or schedule you a all virtual meeting, if that's something that you need us to do, but at the golf course, we did have the technology where we could have some people in person from a safety perspective that worked out, as well as some people virtually. So we kind of did a hybrid where some were in the room together and some were on the screen together to facilitate as well. So when it comes to your work groups initiatives, we can be flexible on assisting you to get those together and support that from that aspect. With that in mind, as you start discussing, I just did want to mention for Initiative 1, the initial phase of that staff is working on, that's prepping a engagement plan for you to review based on the race and equity piece. So that is a project, and then that's going to be a review and comment from your charge. So hopefully we'll have something soon to Commissioners Strother, Miller, and McCauley. So that for item 1. Other than that, that's all I had on the work plan, Chair, if you wanted to have that discussion about the other aspects.
Okay. As I said, if Commissioner Haas has looked these over, I think he's probably had access to these. Did you want to say something, Terry?
One other thing, Chair, I just want to mention that we can have up to 4 voting members per item. That does not include the student commissioners. So we can have an unlimited number of student commissioners. We can only have 4 voting members. So you can have up to 4 on each initiative and still abide by our open meeting and quorum issues. So just wanted to point that out.
Okay, thank you. Brian, if you've had a chance to look them over prior to
Sure.
tonight, I hope.
Yeah, no, I've had a chance to read through all this. They'd all be a great opportunity to get more involved for me. I'm very interested in initiatives 2 and 3. Those are both things that I have a little bit of experience with previous boards, especially when it comes to funding sources, and probably less so with the communications side, but I guess that one interests me a lot because it would give me an opportunity to get even more involved in the community, being a fairly recent transplant here.
I'll add those, or your name to those two then, number 2 and 3. Why don't we start with number 1, and we're going to confirm, the people that are here tonight, except for Pat. And why don't we go through each one, first of all, and yes, we're a member of that initiative, and then secondly, if you are going to be a lead in that. So if we do 1, Commissioner Strother?
Yes, I am happy to be a lead in this. I think it originally, just for benefit of the group, started with a little bit of a different charge, where we were working in conjunction with another commission to come up with recommendations ourselves. It got stalled a little bit in the work from the other commission, and it then switched to staff taking over the work to create a work product, and commissioners reviewing and commenting on it. And so it's been in a little bit of a holding pattern as staff has been doing that work, but it sounds like we're in a place where we're going to be close to being able to provide review and comment, which I'm looking forward to, and happy to stay in the lead on this role. So
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Miller?
Yep, I'm still staying on this one.
Okay. Commissioner McCauley?
Yeah, I think as we kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel here, we'll be able to do a little bit more. So yeah, I'm fine with that. Especially I thank you, Brian, for joining this initiative. I know you have some experience in this area. So hopefully, and then we'll maybe get a Zoom meeting at least with the commissioners involved, or a distance meeting, and see where we think we can begin this initiative once we come out of this the vaccine initiative.
Okay, thank you. Initiative 2, Commissioner Nelson?
Yep, we met this week, last week actually, on this, and like you mentioned, and I think that we made some good progress. And Rick, I think you're taking the stab on and making the next steps on that.
Yes.
So keep me on there, please.
Okay. Commissioner Good?
Yep, still plan on being active in.
Yep. Very good. And myself and Commissioner Haas.
And we should remove Matt from that list. He's still on this document.
Yeah, she'll do that. Jan will take him off. Okay, initiative 3, Commissioner McCauley. Eileen?
That's what I meant to speak to before. I'll remain on the other one, but this one I'm the lead on. So that's really what I was speaking to before, but I'm happy to stay on the other one too.
Yeah, you're going to stay on number 1, and you're going to lead on this one, though.
Yep. Yep.
Yes. Okay. Then we have Commissioner Haas. Director, have you talked to Commissioner Willett? Or has anybody heard from?
Yeah, we were anticipating his presence this evening. I know
Okay.
Janet traditionally does a call around, so we can follow up with him. Maybe something came up this evening.
So we'll leave him on there. I know he's, even last year, we had some preliminary discussions about this initiative, and we met, well, we can still meet in person. So I know he has, certainly from the association side, we had discussed some items about funding and techniques.
I do know this, you're correct. This was initiative 3 was of interest to him.
Initiative 4, Commissioner Good.
I'm willing to stay on initiative 4, but I'm leading initiative 5, so not able to lead initiative 4.
I can lead 4.
Very good. Thank you, Commissioner.
If we're looking to
Commissioner,
add people, oh, I'm sorry.
go ahead. Sorry,
I
go.
was just, if there's room for me, I would jump myself onto 4 as well, not to lead, but to be a part of that group.
Director, since this initiative, you know, the deliverable ends up with us, so to speak, is this one going to be at the end of this month? Are we going to tell the council how we're doing on this one as well then?
Yeah, I would think we'd want to put
Okay.
just a variety of progress updates, and if that means,
Okay.
you know, members were reorganized, we can indicate that as well. So,
Okay. Okay, very good.
I will note that I'll attempt to get a meeting, at least initial meeting of the group before the end of the month. So you'll at least be able to
Yeah.
report that.
Yeah, I think Janet doesn't need to take this note, but anything that we might be able to do before the end of the month, so we just, because the council has all of these in front of them.
Yep.
And, you know, if we've just, you know, had a verbal or a virtual or an in-person, anything would be great.
Yeah, we had some initial
Right.
discussions about doing a virtual meeting with that group. So
Right.
I'll take the lead on getting that set up and moving it forward.
Okay.
Thanks.
As the director said, Friday we had ours at the golf course. It worked well. Commissioner Good was in California, and he did say that the temperature was quite different, but it worked well. I mean, it's a big room. You know, we could have all the commissioners sit in that room really, and then the screen is big enough that you could probably have 20 people on the screen. So it's a great setup there. So Initiative 5, Greg said, or Commissioner Good is going to be the lead. And the two of the students are still going to be there.
And Matt, are you still willing to join that one that's board as well?
Yes, that would make sense, just to
Okay.
cross-pollinate between those two, 4 and 5.
Yeah.
So
Okay, good.
Yeah, I'll lead and then Matt's going to join and support. So
Oh, good. Very good.
Matt and myself.
Very good.
I'll work to get a virtual meeting set up here during the month of March, so we can always connect via phone, WebEx, whatever.
I think that's it in terms of changes that I noted. Director, did you want to confirm these?
yeah, Chair and Commissioner, maybe I'll just run through and
Yep.
you guys just yell if anything doesn't make sense based on my notes here. I'm making the changes in the document. So Initiative 1 will be Commissioners Strother, who will be lead, Miller, and McCauley. Initiative 2 will be Commissioners Nelson as lead, Good, Haas, Itis, and Student Commissioner Nalosky. Initiative 3 will be Commissioner McCauley as lead, Commissioners Haas, Willett, and Itis. Initiative 4, Commissioner Dosketch will be lead, with Commissioners Good, McCauley, and Nelson. And then Initiative 5, Commissioner Good will be lead, with Commissioner Dosketch and Student Commissioners Sorum and Mork.
Very good.
I will send this out to the commission so you have a updated version then.
Very good. I think that probably completes that item.
Chair, unless there are anyone that wanted to have any updates for us to record, or if it would be easier if the leads maybe just emailed me a snippet of a progress update by the end of the month and I can compile them all. Would that be easier?
Yeah, that works.
And that's all I think staff had for that item then this evening, unless other
Okay.
comments from the commission.
Okay. We'll move to item 7. Commissioner comments or member comments.
They're putting up the new cell tower at the Highlands Park this week. Seen a lot of activity down there. I guess it's going to be 5G ready. But this neighborhood has been in need of better cell service. I used to volunteer up at the Highlands School, and my son went there, and you couldn't make a cell phone call from inside the school. So I think it's going to be a great benefit to the neighborhood. I would drive around many times seeing people out on their front lawns because that's the only place you could use your cell phone. So I think it's great for the neighborhood. I'm glad to see that finally getting done. I think it's taken about 5 or 6 years, but so that's all the comment I have on that.
Any other comments tonight? I've already indicated to the director that there are a golf course open. And he's assured me that ours will not open this month. But
Not exactly what we said. We anticipate opening by the end of the month. So.
Yeah.
Conditions will dictate when we open this month, but we do anticipate, if the weather holds, opening this month.
I played twice this week, Rick, but I'll keep that to myself.
that on Channel 4 today, there's
No, I'm not broadcasting scores. I keep those to myself too.
on Channel 4 tonight, Stonebrook is open or opened up today. And I don't know, I've played at golf courses before when they opened up in March, and the golf course takes quite a beating when you do that. And, I can't imagine our superintendent. I think last Friday, when I was over the golf course, he mentioned that we had 3 feet of frost still. So there's still a lot of moisture in the ground and a lot of frost. So we want to err on the positive side over there, I think. Any other comments or questions tonight? If not, we'll go to staff comments.
Thank you, Chair. Members of the commission, just a couple of quick informational items. Ms. Bushland did mention about the wait list, and that occurred because we did start registration since your last meeting. As indicated, there is a lot of demand for programming. So we were glad to see that. We hope we can make a dent in those wait lists, but overall, very satisfied with that. We did put the amount in your staff report of what the first initial week's revenue was. Hard to compare that year over year, season over season, but we were pleasantly surprised and glad to see that our residents are very satisfied and interested in our program. So that was a positive thing. Another note, as Commissioner McCauley did mention about the Highlands Park cell phone tower, that was a regulatory process that did occur over a number of years. The park's standpoint of that is, as that tower is being replaced, we're also replacing the hockey lights that service that rink that go on the tower. So for us, it was an ability, once that project came in, to kind of leverage our assets. And that new technology is the high-end LEDs. So not only a better product for participants on the surface, but also an energy saving. So that dual project does benefit the park as well. As mentioned in the staff report, Mr. Tom Shirley, who you saw earlier this year when he gave an update to the commission, has announced his retirement after 30 years as the Centennial Parks general manager. So we are going to wish him well at the end of April on his retirement. And as far as on the staffing side, we've begun recruitment for his replacement as well. I think there's a number of other items in your packet if there are any specific questions, but as indicated earlier, seasonal hiring is underway and is needed. Just a couple of quick positions that you had indicated as well. Guest services, maintenance, horticulture aides, clubhouse attendants, lifeguards as well is one of the big ones. All of those can be found on the city's website, edinamn.gov, specifically edinamn.gov/summer jobs. So that's kind of the big theme right now is pushing recruitment. Especially as we look to open the aquatic center this summer. So we don't know exactly what that will look like pending guidance, but we are committed to trying to find a way throughout that guidance, which does look promising, that we'll have an aquatic center season this year. Edinburgh Park has also reopened in a limited capacity for use of Adventure Peak in the Great Hall. So that's another positive as well. And last week, Mayor Hovland and City Manager Scott Neal testified at the Minnesota State Legislature in support of the local option sales tax. So that also occurred last week. That was the first hearing on that issue for the city scheduled for this year. Hopefully many to come. If we recall, a year ago, we had a successful hearing, and then the state legislature, their agenda sidetracked quite differently in response to the COVID pandemic. So we're hopeful for a better result in session this year. And I believe that's all kind of the general informational items we had this year, so this month. I'll jump into council updates as well. Just the one that on March 1st was among 19 people that were appointed to the city's advisory commissions. And then the last item in your agenda packet this evening is our upcoming meetings and events. And I did want to draw your attention, if you haven't had a chance to look yet, our May meeting, which is scheduled for May 11th, does need to be rescheduled. That is the evening of the Edina School District is having a ballot question. So we will need to move our meeting. So we'd like some feedback on if you have dates that are no-goes, or if we throw one out if that meets for people, but we will need to reschedule the May meeting. And I did want to draw your attention to what else will occur in May, and that is on May 18th. That is your annual joint session with the City Council. So I know you had talked earlier about the commission getting progress updates. I think that would be also an opportune time to give in-person progress to the City Council. A little bit differently than probably the discussion we had last year for those of you that were attending related to the pandemic impact on budgets. So,
Perry, does that alternate date have to be a Tuesday, or can it be any day of the week?
Commissioner Miller, it could be any day of the week, Monday through Friday, of course, as long as there are no other holidays or other events that are scheduled there.
And would it be virtual?
The easy answer is, as of right now, it would be virtual until we get the either the governor's order expires and we would go back to in-person, but I believe the City Council determined that they would go back to in-person first prior to commissions doing that, but most likely it could be virtual at that point.
So when you say other events, do you mean other commission meetings? Does that matter whether somebody else, another commission is having a meeting?
No, actually there are oftentimes multiple commission meetings on a night. I know early on in the pandemic, we had that issue with trying to connect to the live streams because we had two different commissions trying to connect to that. So we have had multiple commissions on per evening.
Okay.
So an easy thing to do would be to throw out the following day, which would be the Wednesday, the 12th. So.
Do you want to take a vote on that now?
I think discussion, we wouldn't necessarily need a motion, but I think if you wanted to have discussion around May 12th.
It's fine with me. I mean, I don't have any objections to that.
I'm good. Until the soccer schedule comes out, but I'm good.
That date works for me as well.
Looks okay.
Hearing any other objections,
12th.
we'll look to try to
May
make
12th.
things to May 12th, and then we'll update everything accordingly in your schedules and the packets.
Very good. Anything more, Director? Okay.
So we have for you this
Well,
evening.
okay, we'll go to item number 9, and I'll ask for a motion and a second for adjournment.
So moved.
Move. Second.
And if Janet will do the roll call?
Commissioner Dosvetch,
Aye.
Commissioner Good,
Aye.
Commissioner Haas,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Commissioner Nelson,
Aye.
Commissioner Strother,
Aye.
Commissioner McAuley,
Aye.
Commissioner Itis.
Aye. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks all. Take care.
Everybody, good night.
Good night.
Good golfing, Greg.
I'll work on
We want scores.
it. When they get low enough.
All right, thank you all. Have a good night.
Good night.
Hi, Tom. Thank you, Tom.
See you, Rick.